welcome to Yaoi Reddit's season wrap up of Percy Jackson. I am your host, Maggie.
And what? I'm also your host. My name is Laura.
Yeah, Laura's here too. Invited her
Surprise!
to surprise. I know you were not expecting her to
I,
be here.
you never know who the second host is gonna be. If it's gonna be Meggie, if it's gonna be Laura. So you gotta come in hot with it.
It could be anyone. Could be Jinx Monsoon
Yeah,
as the second host.
I
Can you
wish.
imagine? That'd be.
Please, Jinx, come on the podcast.
We just interchange between the two of us. Whoever
Yeah, Jinx does
is Jinx.
follow my boyfriend on Instagram.
What?
Because my other friend knows a Jinx Monsoon, and then he posted a story with Nick in it once, and then followed Nick because I think she thought he was cute. Which, like, yeah, my boyfriend's very cute. But now it's like my boyfriend can always just like brag that like Jinx Monsoon follows him on Instagram. And the funny thing is that I was in the story as well, but like I'm not a
But
cute
you didn't get
boy,
the
so I didn't
follow.
get followed.
Dang, I've never.
So I'm like, maybe he could reach out and get
Yeah,
Jinx Monsoon on the podcast and be
yeah,
like,
Nick.
hello.
Nick, if that's even your real name, do it. That's crazy. I wish that a celebrity would follow me for being cute.
Would that be great?
I've only ever gotten followed for dancing at a wedding when I was really drunk and it went viral and Alexandra Daddario followed me and I only figured this out because someone was like DM'd me and said, "Hey, can you get a painting of your friend to her?" And was like, "Sure." Who? And then he sent a painting of Alexandra Daddario, and I was like, "No fucking way!" And I checked, and she was following me.
That's so funny, Maggie.
It was awesome.
Oh,
But I don't think a celebrity's ever followed me. The Allstate Mayhem guy did a photo booth with me because I think he found
that
me
kind of
charming.
counts.
Kind of counts,
Kind of
yeah.
counts. So wow.
No
So
Percy, no celebrities in Percy Jackson though have hit on me. No
no,
celebrities in the Percy Jackson TV
all
show.
myths, all legends, just Percy. Our Maggie, this was our 20th season. I think we have to really like enunciate that we've done 20 book series for this podcast.
It's so crazy to think that we have done 5 years, 6 years
Yeah, this will be
of.
our 6th year. We started in October of 2020.
Oh my god, that's so crazy. We're just out here doing it for the love of the
We're
game.
having fun. Call it a passion project because that's exactly what this is.
That really is what it is. And I know I say this probably in every single wrap up because we only live in the present. We can only know that. Stacked against all of the series we have read, Percy Jackson blew me out of the water. I think
Whew.
it is my favorite. I'm going to stand by it.
Man, I don't know. Maybe we should do a special episode for like our 6 year anniversary of a definitive ranking of all of the series we've done. That would be really fun.
We absolutely should. What would be at the bottom for you? But just
Off the
what's your
top of my
gut?
head, it might be
Vampire
Diaries.
Diaries. Me too. I was going to
But
say that.
this would also be hard because I feel like we would disagree at some point during the ranking because I would rank Twilight probably very low and you would want to rank Twilight very, very high.
I would have to look at a spreadsheet of everything that we've done, but I think that Twilight was a romance to be reckoned with, man. It's so good.
God, we really have done so many seasons. I have the spreadsheet pulled up on my other monitor, so
It's so wild. And of all of
we're
them, I will say, of all of them, this is the first one that I actually learned a lot. I learned a lot of real life things in the terms of Greek mythology that you know at some point in your
oh,
life, but then you forget.
isn't that kind of crazy that it was fun as an adult to read this because it felt like I was still like it never felt like I was too old to read this middle grade book series. And it was like so I've never really dove into mythology or anything like that extensively.
Mhm.
But it was cool to just be like, oh, I feel like I'm learning things.
It is so nuts because I do feel like it is the first sort of book that has pulled research from, mythology that exists and like lore that actually exists out there. And then also uses the creative element of making its own story. So it's like almost YA and nonfiction, sort
Yeah.
of, which I don't know. I don't think we've read a book that has done that before. I think we've had a
Mhm.
lot that obviously model society and then make their own society, like the
Yeah.
Hunger Games, which we always talk about, but not one that I would say you can learn alongside, which is
Yeah.
awesome for kids to read.
It
That's
is
great.
it's very impressive to have a series that it's like it is fantasy, but it is also based in the anthology of both the Greek myths and also the Roman myths, which was a cool addition to the series as well.
Mhm.
That it was just to really watch it all unfold. It was fun to be like, this is historical fiction, but it's based off of like old deep lore. So yeah, I can't sing the praises for Rick Riordan enough from this entire series.
That is true. Yeah, that I didn't know anything about the Roman gods, and to be
No.
honest, I didn't pick up too much this time, but I do know that they were in there.
Yeah.
So,
Atlas was in there, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess Atlas would be a Roman god. That makes sense.
oh,
Um,
he is. Wow.
I know, Maggie, before we started recording, you said I didn't really do any research. I did minimal research right before we started recording. And I know that Rick Riordan wrote this series based off of bedtime stories he was telling his son, who was also dyslexic and had ADHD.
Mhm.
So he started telling him his bedtime stories, which I think is also very, very cool to watch what this fell into.
Yeah.
But also, the Percy Jackson series doesn't end with Percy Jackson's fifth book. He writes a tale of seven demigods in another series that I'm blanking on the name of, that seems to tell the tale of the fated prophecy at the end of book five. So he has a little series on that. And he has a one-off
Oh.
series called the Senior Years, where Percy Jackson comes back as a senior. So we do get Percy at some older age, which is exciting.
And you know that he is dating Annabeth down. They're
He
probably getting
better be.
married. They're probably
He
kissing.
They better be. I Another definitive ranking we could do at some point is the romances that we've watched unfold before our very eyes, because this was one of my favorites as well. Like because it felt so natural, especially as they like aged through these very pivotal years, that they start kind of shifting from friend dynamic to like, wait, I think this is cute. So like, while it was a very PG romance, I really enjoyed how it was done for this series.
Yeah, because I think we got to also experience a little bit of trauma bonding throughout, but it made the moments when they had heart to hearts so much more visceral, because obviously they really hold each other at arm's length in the first book. And then the second book, the turning point for me was obviously when he ties her up to go through the sirens, and the sirens sing your heart's deepest desire,
Mhm.
and it was just basically it was something I'm pretty sure it's like was around her dad finally accepting her.
Yeah.
And then also Luke was around and everyone was just happy, and she has to tell him this and she's just sobbing and he's like
Mhm.
holding her sobbing,
Ugh,
that I was like, "Oh my god." It's so nice to delay the point of almost intimacy after you have a really strong foundation, and it made their relationship just so sweet, just so
yeah.
cute.
It was great, and it also felt like their relationship, while obviously rooted in friendship, they always respected each other, and like never to the point where they turned against each other, which I think is also a really nice touch, and I think an easy plot point to develop in books like these, of like, and they have this huge falling out. But I was really glad that it was just like, no, things are a little awkward as they kind of are learning how to communicate better, but they never really, go against each other or fall through each other.
No, they really don't. They hold each other up and push each other, I would say, to be the best versions of each other. Have
Yeah.
you watched the TV show at all?
No, no, it's on my list. I'm watching Love Overboard right now on Hulu, hosted by Gabby Windey from Bachelor fame, and it's a
Love her.
delight. So nothing like the Percy Jackson series, or I imagine what the show will be.
Mhm.
But at some point, I'll watch it.
It is, they made a lot of changes, but I have talked to Laura about this outside of the podcast, that I think that it was necessary to,
Yeah,
they're hard books to summarize. I feel like once you put yourself a bit of distance between you and the series, it's a pretty good time. But I do know that a
yeah.
lot of fans are upset with it.
Well, yeah, and it's like, I think I've said this before on the podcast. I think transforming a book into visual media is one of the hardest things you could possibly do. I do prefer when book series get turned into TV shows, because I think you have a lot more depth to really
Mhm.
cover ground. I remember watching the movie forever ago, but it's also like, again, I can imagine that it's hard, especially to do this series full justice in any sort of visual medium
Oh, for sure.
faithfully, because like they're traveling across the US. Like, how are you going to do a Hoover Dam scene and like make it work? Um, I could go on, but yeah, I can definitely see how this series would have to change for it. It's a bummer because like, you know, you want it to be fully truthful, but
Yeah, that
it
is
would make
true.
sense.
The arch scene of the first book was really cool when they go to the St. Louis Arch. I really
Ah,
loved that.
gotta you see it. See, I gotta watch it. I gotta
What
watch it.
was
And I know from Meggie that Lin Manuel Miranda's in it, so that's also exciting.
Lin-Manuel? He's Hermes.
And then
What was your favorite book, or I guess plot point?
yeah, somebody, I think it was Elena, DM'd me on Instagram and said her third one was her favorite.
Yeah,
And that one is The Titan's Curse. But I'm gonna say Battle of Labyrinth, I think, was my personal favorite because I think that's really when the like tone really shifted in the books, that like it really became like we're leading up to this very life or death moment and we're really diving into Percy and Annabeth's relationship. So I really like Battle of the Labyrinth, I
the
think.
fourth one.
Yeah.
The fourth one was really fun. I Once they introduced Nico and Bianca, it moved it forward so
Yeah.
well. I would say, I mean, I loved the third one because I loved the Hunters of Artemis. Weirdly, I think I might like the last one the most.
Really?
I think
Like as far as finales for a book series go, this is top tier because it really was just like we've been building up to this exact thing for a few books and I'm delivering. That's what Rick did.
Oh my god, yeah. I just think the lore of the mothers was fascinating,
Oh,
and I want to read a book on both May and Maria.
Maria, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I really loved that as well. I think that was like a nice touch to again just kind of tie everything together of like why these characters are all here and what makes this so important to like everybody involved. It also really heightens the stakes to not just the half-bloods, which I also thought was just another extra woven layer that gave the series a lot of depth.
Yeah, I would love to have stories about those moms because I'm so curious, like, how do you get a god to fall in love with you?
I get it. Yeah. Meg's asking the real questions. How do you get a god to
How do you
fall in
get a
love with
god? That's what
you?
my Google search is at 2 a.m. How to get a god to fall in love with you? How to get Taco Bell to deliver
It
before
also
5 a.m.
begs the question because we learn, I believe, in book 4 that Annabeth was born out of Athena's head because like that's how she gives birth.
And
But it's
Percy
like
keeps being like, "How did that is a thing?" And it's just
yeah, but it's also like then how like is it conceived during a conversation or is she conceived over a series of good conversations? Like was Athena just hanging out with Annabeth's dad at some point and just started screaming and then like a baby popped out of her head?
I know we talked about it in the episode too, but I do just think it is so funny of a great conversation yielding a child because again, kind of how do you consent to that? What if you were like having a great conversation with someone like I always do. I
Yeah,
love talking to people. And then all of a sudden I'm just having a kid and I'm like, "Wait, oh no, it wasn't that monumentous
I
for me
know.
to have a kid."
Maggie, that's such a good point because it begs the other question is how do you practice safe conversation then? Like, because
Small
like, how
talk.
do I know I'm not going to go have a good time talking to someone and a baby's not going to pop out?
You're like talking about imperialism and you're like, sorry, actually, can we steer this away? What's the weather going to be like tomorrow?
Yeah,
Let's
it's like
talk
we need
about
to
that.
actually tone down the interesting part of this conversation.
We need to trot it back because I can just feel something stirring up there. Oh my god.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Well, we talked about too what cabins that we would want to be in. Has that changed at all since we've read all of
I
them?
mean, we talked earlier on about like kind of what powers would be coolest. Now that we did have this conversation mainly before Nico and Bianca were introduced. Now that like Hades' powers are on the table, I think those are the coolest ones.
Oh my god, for sure. And then they're like, you would have to sacrifice, I guess, friends because everyone's intimidated by them. But honestly, and I know that this is just a fleeting moment in my life, I'm kind of socialized out. Would I trade all of my friends for being kid of Hades?
Well,
Right now, if you asked me, maybe. I'm kind of tired. Most days, probably not. I'm a
no.
social
Well, and
creature.
it also kind of feels like that was, the kind of just general vibe around a child from Hades before the end of book 5. I feel like there's a new leaf after the end of book 5. Like Hades kids would be welcomed now and not
That's true.
feared. At least I want to hope that, because other than that, I still think the Poseidon cabin is awesome. Mainly because you don't have as many roommates. That's also a huge appeal for me.
Hey, we love living alone. If there's one thing Meggie and
Oof.
Laura love, it's living
Uh,
alone.
give me a life of solitude with a bed. That's nice.
Give me a studio apartment down the
Oh,
hall
down the
from
hall for my best friend.
Laura
Give it.
one more
Give it.
time. Um, didn't know how good I had it back then.
Uh, R.I.P. Never forget.
What's kind of interesting though is I feel like there's so few cabins that have powers. It really is just Poseidon, Hades, Zeus. What else are the other ones doing?
Yeah, I guess we don't see all of them really like power up a ton. Like we know like the Ares kids are, super into war and like that makes sense. But I guess like Athena's kids, like they don't really get powers. They're just smart, right?
Yeah, that's like, is it what you become like world chess champion? Is that the coolest thing
I
about you?
guess.
I would like to be really smart. That would be awesome. But also, I would like to just open up the earth and swallow my enemies.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if I should be trusted with the Hades power. We know I'm a moody bitch. I don't know
I
if that
mean,
would be
but
good.
that's canonically like would make you the perfect Hades child.
That's true. I also start like a new world war. Oops. And he keeps
Yeah.
being like, Maggie was kind of in the wrong for that.
Well, and we know that Dionysus, like Dionysus, she does have these like insane powers because he does that one battle for Percy in like the end of book 3 against
Hmm.
the uh French guy that's a monster. But we don't really see the Dionysus children, at bat doing wine violence, I guess. Like
Wine violence.
that's kind of what it was in the fight in the Titan's Curse, is all I'm saying.
Hey, these kids at Dionysus have never seen Maggie and Laura present a bottle of Josh or maybe three
Whew,
on Southport Avenue.
man.
That's some wine violence right there. You know,
Hey, don't threaten us with a good time. Last time I went to that CVS, all of their liquor was like locked up, so you always had to get somebody to like unlock it for you, like including their wine. And I'm like, this is a frustrating.
wait, what?
Isn't that weird?
Since when? I
And I
remember.
was I was there like last like a year ago. It might have changed, but I was like, oh, I guess I have to press a button now to get a bottle of wine or a case of White Claw.
God, we've moved so far away from the good old days of just putting your hand in the fridge, grabbing as much Josh as you can
And then
carry.
and then carrying it through the self checkout and paying it. They don't trust people anymore, I guess.
Ugh, that's such a bummer to hear.
Right? Right?
I mean, it really is. It really
Yeah.
is. Sorry, that just blew my
Yeah, yeah.
mind.
Sorry to ruin the mood, listeners. With
Yeah, we had to move away from Percy for a minute,
yeah.
but um God, I can't think of anything else, which is so wild.
I
I
will
knew I
say, I
was
think
gonna have
another
something
thing
to
that I
say.
I want to mention with this book series is that like the entire, I would say, like core of like the Percy Jackson characters and through line is, it's like it is these characters' differences from the norm that are ultimately what make them successful. Even the minor characters, like Grover, is definitely not the most revered satyr. Like, in fact, that he's kind of seen as a failure. But the
Yeah.
fact that he is somebody who will go the distance and will try his best, like it's enough. And same thing with Titus, who is Percy's Cyclops brother, or Tyson, sorry,
Tyson.
Cyclops brother. His entire story is kind of about like, oh, he's a monster, that's the kid of the god, like we shouldn't accept him. But it's like the fact that he's a Cyclops and he cares, it's like it's enough to make him successful and also like make him friends. So I really liked that as a through line of this series, that it's like even if this character is different, um, they still deserve and can show up and have friends because of who they are.
Yeah, that is true. I do feel like it's so easy to get lost in a protagonist that is as enigmatic, exciting as Percy, that you don't give as much time to the side characters. But the fact that they had special skills and are fun and balanced out the group, I think
Yeah,
is so much fun because like, I mean, there's nothing that sucks more than when you're growing up and everyone like picks the cool person and like you don't get the person that like you want to like pretend to do and I
yeah,
don't know, like your role play. But I feel like they all really balance each other out in a way that is, you can tell that Rick has so much love for all of these different characters.
Yes. And another thing I also want to make sure we spend some time talking about is Rachel's character. She's also introduced in the Titan's Curse just as a girl at the Hoover Dam. We later find out she can see through the
Screw.
mist. She becomes the Oracle at the end and is also kind of a player in this love triangle that we get. Meggie, how do you feel about Rachel's through line ending with her being the Oracle?
Oh, I loved it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't think that there was any other outcome for Rachel. She was going to have to be involved in the world in some way, is clearly what they were gearing up to. And
Yeah.
the fact that it was through the Oracle of Delphi, I mean, truly, I could see that being a thing that is possible, but that is another element of Rick's storytelling that I really appreciated was everything was so thought out in advance. He tied everything together and he did not let a ball drop ever.
No, the only ball that Rick Riorden dropped was just Blackjack's pronouns
Blackjack pronouns.
changing. And even then, the fans were like, "Yep, we love Blackjack."
Trans horse.
Trans
I know.
horse.
But it's like he just like completely knew and trusted the world that he had built
Yeah,
and was drawing from. And I think it's really easy for writers to get wrapped up in creating when it's like you've created everything that you need. You sometimes you don't have to keep going. You can just you're going to wow a reader if you go back and pull.
yeah. No, it's like that. I think there, is something to be said about knowing the world you've created well instead of trying to continually add on top of.
Mhm.
Because like I get like, oh, we're gonna expand the universe or whatever, but sometimes that can get very bogged down in fine details. Versus this was just like, no, everything that's being like added feels rooted in purpose and like to the overall plot and what needs to happen.
Yeah, because he had the same plot, same villain for every single time,
Yeah.
but I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine that it was so flawless how he did it over 5 books because
Yeah.
you would think that you are just beating a horse over and over again by being like, "Oh, so it's just an old titan trying to get Percy Jackson on his side for
Yeah.
5 books." But it really is like he is trying for the first time and Percy's like, I don't want to. And Kronos is like, that's okay. You have some time to decide. Not going to pressure you just yet, but I am around, just so you know.
Yeah.
And he tries in the second book to, or no, he has the Cyclops thing because he has to go get the, and it's still related to Kronos. But the third book is so definitive in a time. Kronos has given him like 3 chances to turn to his side.
Yeah.
And once he does not slaughter that cow, is when he's like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. It's full force. And it flips. It flips so well because he's now like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm actually gonna
Well,
do full court press on Percy.
no, it is insane to think that it's like if somebody told me on paper like, oh, it's 5 books, but we set up what the fifth book is really gonna be, the entire time, and it's just like, really, I have to read 5 books, but each is their own standalone good story. And the fact that it's like to use book 3 as the midpoint, true midpoint of the series, where we get introduced to the missing characters to tie it all together. We finally develop that the turn of Kronos with the swornness of Luke. It's done so well.
Mhm.
And yeah, like the real threat for the prophecy fully like kind of coming to fruition in the third book. It's just, again, it's clean. It's clean. It's done very, very well.
It's so good. I love when things are thought out because I
Yeah.
there's nothing I can't stand more when I know that a writer is floundering and just grasping at straws and doing the Riverdale
Yeah.
effect of just
Yeah, no, there's nothing
going
I can't
everywhere.
quite stand that like like when a plot doesn't quite make sense for a character or feels not fully thought out. And then
Yes.
I'm like, well, wait, how the hell does this work? Because we already talked about this thing. I hate when that happens. But I
Yes.
never had a moment in this book series where I was like, well, how about this? Like there was no holes for me or lapses.
Because I think as a writer, if you're going to have a very solid plot, you either have to know that it's okay, I'm going to do a 5-book arc. This
Yeah.
is what it's going to be. It has to be laid out in advance. Or if you are so invested and you believe in your idea and you're going to keep it open-ended to get optioned for more things in the end, I really think that you have to open every single door in the first book.
Yeah.
Because when you keep opening doors down the line, it loses its magic. But if you have just a solid set of shit and you've like created this world that you can later have callbacks on, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
so smart and so good, and Rick
Oh,
just killed it. He did such a good job.
nailed it.
God,
Yeah. Yeah. No, can't sing his praises enough.
I
Um,
know.
uh, I don't know. I don't know, Meg. I don't know if I have anything else to say.
I know. I don't either. I really do want to read the older books and see what happens with
Mhm.
Percy and Annabeth if I have a moment,
Yeah.
because I would look up fan art of them every night before I went to bed. Every single night. And I ruined the plot quite a few times because I was
Yeah.
like, when are they kissing in a bubble underwater? That must, wow, that fan drawing that is just so imaginative. That'd be such a cute thing. And then I saw it later on.
Yeah.
And then I also looked up the moms because I was like, wait, we haven't talked about the moms enough. I want to know about these moms. And then they had full backstories, and I was like, is it canon or did someone just make it up? So I did like ruin the plot for myself quite a lot.
Man, that's why you can't look up fan art till you're done.
I
You
know,
gotta
I
hold
just get
yourself back,
so
Maggie.
excited. This is like Light Lark all over again. I just was looking up fan art all night. But the Light Lark was just crazy because it was so horny. Alex
I
Astor was recently in a Maybelline commercial and it
Yeah.
blew my mind, the
No, and
crossover.
Lightlark, the craziest thing about me with Lightlark is that the fourth book wasn't the end. I'm still a little mad about that.
Oh my god. Why that that
We were
pissed me
so
off so much.
close. We were so close, Alex, please.
God, that third point of view of Oro, like why is he
Yeah,
talking in this
like
book?
the equivalent, like this would be like if Percy Jackson defeated like Kronos in this fifth book, and then there was suddenly another threat. Like it's just like no, no, like fourth book was against the big bad threat, and now how are we going next to the next thing?
Exactly. At that point, like it has to be done where you give it quite a lot of time. Like if
Yeah,
15 years later you start writing the books and you're like
right.
Percy's back, then I'm like thrilled. But if you
Yeah.
do it within like a year and you're just stretching it out, I'm like I gun to my head, I will read this, but I will be mad.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I can't wait for the fifth Lightlark book. Still a little mad about it, but
I know what sucks is there's something about that series that has like a chokehold on me. Maybe it's because it's again the first one that had so much sex in it that I don't understand how it got away with that.
yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, what kind of like hold it has on me? Maybe it's the fact that like we did kind of like defer Oro to like bestie boo, and then
Yeah,
like that's also just an hilarious development through there too. And I'm like, I kind of like that Oro's just like, sure, I'll just be your best friend.
so wild.
So
Oh
funny.
my god.
We could talk, we could talk, and we could talk and
We
talk
really
about
could.
Lightlark, but that was us and Percy Jackson. Maybe one day we'll go back to the other series or companion books. But for now, we are bidding adieu to Percy and Annabeth and Grover and all of their friends at Camp Half Blood.
Ugh, I'm so sad.
I'm so sad. Like this was truly like such an awesome start to my year. Like I had so much fun.
I did too, and it was such a good break for me in War and Peace. It actually made
Ugh.
reading nice again.
Yeah, no, like that was the thing where it's just like I feel like this book series, if I read it when I was a kid, would have like rejuvenated like a love of reading
I
that I developed
know.
at some point, but would have gotten sooner if I had read this.
Yep.
Um, Next time on Yeah, We Read It, Maggie and I are doing a special
Hmm.
two off because we have our one offs, but this is a two off. We'll be reading Caitlin Cavalancia's Mystery Royale and brand new Hunting the Strange. And I think we're going to be talking with her too. If that falls through, then forget about this.
Then we never brought it up. Then
We
we
never
never
brought
talked
it up,
about
and
it.
I'll go back and I'll edit the soundbite and get rid of me saying this.
And in the meantime, just follow us online,
Oh,
individually, together, whatever you want to
tell
do.
your friends to listen to us. Give us 5 stars. Again, this is a passion project. I have to apologize to every person that emails us about books, being like, "It's a 2-person podcast. I'm sorry, it took me 3 weeks to follow up with
I
you."
know, and I used to be
But
better at it too. I feel like I fell
we're
off this
we're
year.
we are spread very thin, and we appreciate all the love and support, and anything you can do, whether it's a share, a follow, a like, subscribe, a email to us.
We do love emails.
All of it's a big thumbs up from us. So
Yeah. And we will see you later.
okay, goodbye.